Now, I, on the other hand, am a first-generation Canadian, born right here in Strathroy. My parents were born in Holland and came here in 1949 and 1950. My dad's family settled in the Mount Bridges, Muncie area. Now, his family is one of the founding families of the East Christian Reformed Church. The high cost of taxes and the older brothers wanting to get married were the reason that my mom's family came to Canada. They had nothing left and decided to start a new life here. Both had very good experiences when they arrived in Canada. They saw the beautiful farmland. They had a nice sponsor, a beautiful house to live in, warm weather, much warmer than Holland, and nice farmers to work for. They were well taken care of. And even when they couldn't speak the language, they could communicate through sign language by pointing to items or acting it out. One time my Beppa, which is my grandmother, had to squawk like a chicken to show the store owner that she needed eggs. I'm so proud of my family. I have to tell you one of my favorite wartime stories. One November day in 1942, someone came to the door asking whether my grandparents would take 2 children into their home. Yes, of course they would, was the answer. Their names were Rhea, 14, and Hank, 12. My mom was 9 at the time. She came home from school one day, and there they were, her new brother and sister. All she was told was that the children were relatives from the big city of Amsterdam, and that they needed protection. And when I asked why they took the children in, the answer was, people did what they had to do. It was no big deal. But it was a big deal, because these children were Jewish. But to Mom, they were her brother and sister. They stayed for 1.5 years until it was no longer safe. And then they were taken to a new place to live. Years later, our families would reunite as Rhea Winter would live in Lapeer, Michigan, with her husband and their children. And when we were growing up, we would visit, and we would call them our aunt and uncle and our cousins. My parents do not regret coming to Canada. It's the best country in the world, according to them. So back to the first generation Canadians. Tony, my husband, and I had similar and different experiences. I could not speak English as a child. I only spoke Dutch. So when I went to the Christian school, I had to learn English. Now Tony, on the other hand, only spoke German when he started school. So he had to learn English. And he had another problem as well. He went to OLI, the Catholic school, where there were a lot of Dutch families as well. And the children heard stories about the war in Holland from their parents and learned to despise anyone that was of a German background. So they didn't understand that he was actually of Romanian background, but he still spoke German. They didn't understand this. So Tony endured much name calling when he was in school, bullying, and got into many fights in school. It's not a good memory for him. And now he's married into a Dutch family. So you never know what God has planned for your life. I love Canada Day because as kids, we always had a celebration on July the 1st. We would put up the red and white streamers and the red and white balloons. You see, my parents were married on Canada Day. So it was always special to me, even today. We have a lot to be thankful for. Freedom in one of the best countries in the world. Happy Canada Day, everyone. Amen.